Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning, you okay? I'm glad Lois is holding the camera at the phone.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, tell me about it.
Morning, you okay? Yeah. Morning, Mike.
All good. Yeah, you well, Peter?
Lois is
very
holding
good,
the
thank
camera.
you,
Absolutely. Oh, tell me about it.
Yes,
You okay?
stay on mute unless
Morning, Mike.
requested otherwise.
All good. Yeah, you well, Peter?
Lois is
very
holding
good,
the
thank
camera. Yeah, all good.
Absolutely. Oh, tell me about it.
Yes,
You okay?
stay on mute unless
Morning, Mike.
requested otherwise.
All good. Yeah, you well, Peter?
Lois is holding the camera. Yeah, all good. Yeah, all good. We're going to have quite a few people in the room today, so. Morning, Mike.
All good. Yeah, you well, Peter?
Lois is all good, thank you. Yeah, all good. Yeah, all good. We're going to have quite a few people in the room today, so. Morning, Mike. Okay, probably going to have to ask everybody to mute because this is going to be chaos. Okay, well, whilst we're waiting for everybody to come in, we'll have I'll put it on gallery at the end. We can have a catch up and a chat then. We've got quite a bit to get through. Just waiting for a few more to come in. We had 78 booked in, and then there's 57 coming in on live stream. So we'll give it another minute. We've got plenty to get through today, so it's good to see you all. And we'll get going in just another minute, and the others will catch up. And yep, just yep. Okay. So somebody's just joining us. A few more. It's been very popular on this one. Okay. Right. Okay. So, welcome to the Vision to Success Digital Marketing Workshop, how to select the best marketing strategies for your business. Which I'm looking forward to presenting today because it's a culmination of a lot of years of work and research, testing, experimenting, reading lots of books. These workshops, as many of you know, are part of a regular series of workshops that were designed to help you take your vision and realize it into a successful business. So the overall structure for the next hour will be there'll be a short introduction as to who and what Vision to Success is all about. Then the educational presentation on how to select the best marketing strategies. And then there'll be a chance to ask questions at the end. I do have the chat window open. Rachel, my co-host, will be checking on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. We are recording these sessions, and this course, as I'll tell you in a minute, is actually a course which you can do at your leisure, which is on our marketing community hub. And then once we've been through all the questions, either during the presentation or
yeah, absolutely,
at the end, we'll then open the floor to any of the marketing questions that you may have. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to work on today how to select the best marketing strategies for your business. So quite a few of you know who I am, but very briefly for those who don't, business and digital coach, been doing this for the last 20 plus years. work with over 500 companies, although with all these peer groups and things I'm doing, that probably number is probably a bit low now. Been working with technology since 1984 and 30,000 connections on LinkedIn. Charlie, my daughter, runs the business is going to get split sometime this year. So we'll have Vision to Success, which is the training, coaching, strategy arm. And then we've got a full-on digital agency, which Charlie and Rachel, who's on the call today, run and manage. So few housekeeping, running speaker view during the presentation, and then at the end we'll put it into gallery view. Use mute when not talking. If you need to ask a question, please put it into chat. I've got chat open on my on the window on the screen, so hopefully you should see it. And say Rachel will be picking up any messages that are posted on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. And keep your video on if you want to participate, and switch it off if you don't want to be recorded, because as I say, we are live streaming and recording, and these recordings will be made available later. So why go to all this trouble? I've got screens and all sorts of bit of tech flying around now because we're because of the restreaming side of things. Well, it's to help you guys compete in the digital world. We as an agency recognize that the rules keep changing on at least a weekly basis, and new things appear which can be game changers. I mean, I'm sure you've all been involved, all sort of heard about the Chat GPT, which is the AI writing tool. It's not going to change the world yet, guys, but it actually indicates a direction which it's going. We've been using AI tools for quite some time now. It's not new. It's the fact that it's free is a new bit. We've been using a thing called Jasper, which is a far more powerful tool. So we're going to help you build on your knowledge. We're helping you here to solve digital marketing problems. And we're kind of I want to build a community so you guys can support each other. It's all about collaboration. There's so much stuff going on in the world. We need to be on top of things, and you only do that by having an extended team, whether that's paid or unpaid, or just loose connections that keep you up to date. So what's Vision to Success? Well, it's a free Monday morning, free Wednesday workshops every month. We've got the free community, which I'll brief you on in a minute. We do have paid support programs for those who want it. And really exciting. It's got February launch. It's now a March launch. But we are very close to a stable version of the app. So the methodology that you will see today, and that's wrapped up in the course, which is freely available, is the methodology that's behind the app. And it's designed to take you through all the questions that you should be answering in order to put together a coherent strategy that uses your resources to the best. I mean, I was looking at a set of numbers today because I do the financial modeling, and 50% of their marketing costs, and that's before the cost of goods and so on. So, that needs to come down substantially before that's going to become a profitable business. And of course, we do marketing strategy development and implementation consultancy. But the idea of the workshops and the hub is that you can do it itself. It's self-help. So how do we make it self-help? Well, we've got this free marketing platform, a hub, and where can you be community? So you can join, click start here. If you go to hub.visiontosuccess.co, and which Rachel's very kindly put into the messages to everyone, you'll be able to sign up free of charge. And then please introduce yourselves. This is not particularly set out to be a networking platform. We do have a networking forum, so if there's anything you want to share, your expertise or what you're doing, then please do that in the networking bit. But please also introduce yourself so that people know who you are. Numbers are growing quite rapidly. We're up to 126 on the platform as of, I think, last night. These are the free courses to date. And this one here, Introduction to Marketing Strategy for Business Owners, is what I'm presenting today. We are changing the format slightly so that when I do one of these workshops, it's already a course. And so over the months, you'll see this build up into quite a free, quite a large free resource. We are on skills growth, the skills growth map system for Growth Co, which is the Greater Manchester platform for helping businesses. And they give me a list of the 3 other courses that they regularly get demand for. We've already done those presentations a little while ago. I just need to convert them into a course. And then again, that's more free resource. And it's to save you doing YouTube, guys. I've collated all the information together in one place. Yes, all this stuff is available on YouTube, but you'll find hopefully that it's a lot easier to digest. And because the set of courses, you can pause, stop, listen, it's got actions for you to follow, etc. They're designed to help you to learn. We've written the book, so it's always good to have a bit of credibility. But I think the online courses are the main sources where people want help. So we move on to how to select the best marketing strategies for your business. Like I say, I really started working on this about 6 years ago and worked with many companies using different aspects of it. And then about 18 months ago now, we started the building an app to do this so that you can do it for yourself. If you don't have the money, or if you're a marketing consultant and you want to improve the speed which you can do a strategy, then this tool is for you. So we're going to look at what is a marketing strategy, what's going to impact your strategy, and then what's it going to be, who you're selling to, developing your value proposition, and then the sort of key bit. We have done this as a whole workshop, the story brand aspect, but for me, this then pulls in is the link between your strategy and what you're going to put together as a customer journey and your marketing, if you like. We call it an ecosystem, basically a flow chart of all your marketing resources, how they link together, and how that all works. So a lot to get through, 76 slides, a bit ambitious as per normal, but I did want to share this with you. So the purpose of the marketing strategy is to make sure that most people have got scarce resources. I was looking at, as I say, a set of numbers today. They were spending 5% of their turnover on marketing, and generally, if you're marketing, if you're doing 5%, I don't think I could justify them increasing that spend. So if they want more out of their marketing, we've got to fine tune it, which is what we're going to propose to do. If you're spending 1% of your turnover on marketing, then you've got some headroom to increase budget. You may not want to, but realistically, your budget should sit between 2 and 5% of your turnover. So what is it? What is the actual strategy? Well, it's a long-term plan for achieving your goals. If you haven't got any 3 or 10-year goals, then one of your actions from this meeting, doesn't matter whether you're a one-man band or whether you're a £50 million business, you need to have clear goals, and they must match with your personal goals, because if there's a disconnect, you'll fall out of love with your business. And so it's very important that you make the right choices, because that's what running a business is all about, getting those choices as optimized as you can. So hopefully you can see this. We look running across the top. So is what you want to your objectives, what do you want to achieve, and then what are your 10-year, 3-year, and 1-year goals. The 3-year one should be concrete-ish. 10-year ones can be a bit flat, sort of, a bit nebulous, sort of you're not sure, but you kind of know where you want to go. 3 years, you need to have a clear vision of what you want to achieve. You may not know how to achieve it, but you need to know that. And then 1 year should take you on that journey. We're going to look at the external pressures, and we'll talk about how we look at those external pressures. And I'd say we're at a period of time when I have never known so much external pressure on a business. And then we're going to look at actually what is your strategy going to be? What are you going to do about this lot? And then very importantly, is about communication. How are you going to get that message over? And then we're going to look at implementation. Okay, so why develop a strategy? Well, in the old days, you'd make something and then advertise it, and hopefully the world would come. But now it's all pull. It's all customer demand. People will sort of say, I want to do this. They'll research how to do something, and they may end up on eBay, Amazon, or a specific site. The customer definitely has the power. And if you're selling, you don't want to be selling. You want people to buy from you. And we're going to do a bit of a deeper dive into that. Because you've all been on sales training courses where they teach about objection handling and so forth. Well, if you've developed the right product or service for your customers, then there shouldn't really be objections, and it's about making it so that people can then buy from you. How are you developing that trust so that they can do that? Okay, if you've not read it, this is a must read for any business owner. It's a quick read. You can watch it if you don't want to. If you're not into books, right? Go onto YouTube and search for "Start with Why" and Simon Sinek. He nails it as to why you need to have a purpose. And a number of the greats, Jim Collins of Good to Great, also talks about having a purpose. Simon calls it a why. It doesn't matter. It's why you're in business. For example, ours is we want to help companies grow. It's something I enjoy doing. It gives a purpose to the business. We make the world a better place if people are better running better businesses. Sounds a bit highfalutin, but it's something everybody in the team can buy into. It's not all about profit and targets and sales and so on. Although those are clearly important. So because this is a course, I'm not proposing that we go through these in detail now, but these are your actions. If you do want to do the course, go onto the hub, and Rachel's put it into the chat. So click on that, join it, and then you can do this course at your leisure. So that's why we've got too many slides for the time period, but I just want to take you through the methodology and then give you a chance to ask. And as this stuff's coming up, by the way, please put your questions into chat. It's more important you get answers than get all the content over. So you've all heard of this pest analysis, and some of you might be going, "Oh, where's the environment?" It didn't fit a 4x4, but clearly environment is your fifth. And so we're building a bigger course, and it's called, and there, rather than pest analysis or step analysis, it's called pestle. So you've got the steep, sorry. It's got the environment in it, but basically it's anything that's happening in the world. So the list is, horrendous, really badly long. You've got the after effects for us, after effects of COVID, Brexit, war in Ukraine, social change due to the hybrid working, all the unrest because of inflation. There's huge numbers of things that could, and we see it on the news. The energy crisis, cost of living crisis, all of it impacts your business. I've never seen anything like it for a long time. We're going back to the 80s when I saw things this bad. Okay, so that tells us what's coming pressure on your business. Then we have like an inner circle of stuff that's closer to you. So we've got the competition, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But you've got the threat of new entrants and the threat of substitution. I know these case studies are a bit old, but Blockbuster, they never jumped on the digital. I think they had the chance of buying Netflix when it came out. They ignored it, and so Netflix went, yeah, okay, we'll carry on, and the rest is history. The thing called the Kodak moment. Kodak did try and get into digital, but they were too monolithic to make the changes. And then you've got at the moment, bargaining power buyers is usually the dominant thing for most companies, but of course, with all the supply chain shortages and things being in the wrong place around the world, the containers and so forth, it's for many companies it's reversed. And in the past, I noticed the younger generation are quite happy to keep jumping between suppliers. Well, for those of us who've been around a while, having that relationship with a supplier it's certainly, if you're a manufacturer or whatever, and you're being consistent and you're not messing about and you're paying them on time, those are the guys who are still getting their goods and their product, their raw materials. The ones who chop and change and cut who long payment terms, etc., they're the last. They're last in the queue. So a thing called supplier loyalty coming back. Something that the older generation understand, but the younger generation I've seen not at the moment. But that will change, I suspect. But this is very dynamic at the moment. This bit here. Okay, so we've got a. So another checklist. Again, these are all available in the course. So these are some of the jobs you need to do. How competitive is your marketplace? How do people find you, or do you find them? That's quite a critical question as to whether you want traffic, whether you're going to use some kind of inbound marketing where people find you, or whether you've got to go out called outreach and go and get them. And there's quite a lot of research you can do these days. In the past, when I'd say, well, what do your competitors do? Well, we can't find out much information, but of course, everybody leaves a digital footprint. So it's not that hard to find out what your competitors are doing. Especially manufacturing, one of the things we had to keep a watch out for is if competitors failing, because if somebody failed, then they had a whole customer base of demand that needed fulfilling. And it's a question of how quickly you could get to that in order to take on that extra work. And then you can look at how good they are at competition. And I've slid this slide in. There's a bit contentious. For me, this is a little bit contentious because it's something we used to in the old days. But one of the things I found is that people so they said, oh, we're good at lots of things. Well, there's only about, I put the slide in because there's only about 3 things, max, absolutely max, that you can be different from. And I'm going to show you a different approach. But I kind of included that. I've included it in the big course, which goes into this a lot more detail. Because it does ask some, it's kind of a summary of the questions you need to ask yourself. But you have to be brutal when it comes to what your strengths are. The opportunities and threats come from the PEST analysis or STEEP analysis. And then your weaknesses, well, most businesses should be able to write a long list. You've got to be an amazing business if this is a short list. So obviously you need to pick out your top 5 weaknesses and things that are stopping you from achieving things. You may be not perfect at everything, but it's finding stuff that you that you can fix and will make a difference to the business. An athlete, if you think of a top athlete, they may be rubbish at quite a few things, but they'll only fix the stuff that's important to winning. Okay, this is a game changer book, The Blue Ocean Strategy by, it's a bit tricky to read. So you might be better sort of, there's quite a few summaries on the web. And at some point, I guess, well, certainly the paid course goes into a lot more detail. But it is a game changer. And the reason it's a game changer is to get you to think about how to create an uncontested market space. Now, obviously, in this short time, this is a whole workshop in itself. But the reason for bringing it out is as part of your strategy development process is you go through the Blue Ocean Strategy process. So the way to do that is you list out all the key features that you compete on. And then you list out your competitors and you rank those competitors between 0 and 100. You then end up with a curve, with a strategy canvas curve. And ideally, so the best example that everybody can relate to is EasyJet. Obviously, lots have changed since EasyJet came out. When EasyJet first came out, you had to book through the website, and the website was dreadful. But when the fares were so low, nobody minded. You know, you'd put up with that. You basically legged it onto the plane. There were no set seats, so you got the best seat if you were first in the queue. You know, and that's evolved, and of course there's more competition in there. But they made a strategic move, and that really helped them. So think about, obviously you can't be an EasyJet, but there's generally a lot of building things. So the reason, I mean, started life as a consultancy. We then moved into being a digital agency, and then I realized that actually we needed to do the consultancy at the start, because we were being asked to design websites when we didn't have a clear picture of who the buyer persona was, what their pains were, etc., etc. So we then were just building something that looked pretty rather than building something that converts. And I'd rather build something that converts because that's what people are paying for. Gone are pretty websites, in my view. So again, set of actions, again, available in the course so that you can do this at your leisure, but that's the jobs that need to be done from this particular section. So what's it going to be? So some of this stuff's from an MBA, but and some of it is quite old. Ansoff goes, I think, back to the 60s. But I think it's a really useful way of thinking about things. So for most businesses, it's about selling more with the same products. Or now, because the buyer is, so when this in the 60s, you just sold products and advertised and so on. So there was no difference between selling new products into an existing market and selling going into new markets with existing products. The thing I would say now is that's changed. So I would say this was market development is high to medium risk, because you're basically going into a new market, which you need to know the consumers, you need the customers, the pains, the gains, etc. Whereas selling new products into an existing market means you can actually test those. You can say to your customers, what do you think about this? And you can certainly de-risk it a lot easier than here. And then obviously, if you're a startup, you've got new products into a new market, which is a high risk. We then got the product life cycle. If you watch Simon Sinek, he talks about this. And whenever you launch, so we're launching Vision to Success, the app. So we're already talking to innovators. We've already got those signed up. And then we'll be looking for early adopters. And once those guys get going, then we can expect the majority to start, early majority. If you've been a long established in the marketplace, you might find that your sales are starting to decline. and therefore your marketing is probably reducing because the late majority have finally got their heads around it, and the laggards are still using rotary dial phones that you see in museums. So the other thing is the Boston matrix. So when you launch a product, it's called a question mark, because assuming you're launching into a market that's growing, you want to grow your share of that market, you're going to enter about here. And then hopefully with more marketing, more brand awareness and so forth, they become a star because you've now got a decent share of the market, and you are and the market's still growing. So those are stars. It then drops to cash cows when the market growth slows, but your share stays the same. So I ran a business 20 years ago where we had 60+% of the market. So we didn't have to do much actual marketing. It was more about keeping in touch with all the businesses that we're working with and keeping them happy. And then if everything drops, your share drops and the growth drops, and then you'll find that profitability also drops. But I had a brainwave one day. I said, well, these two seem to be mapped onto each other. So I mapped the Boston matrix onto the product life cycle. So here, if you've got a cash cow and it's the sort of market still buying, but you don't need to do much marketing, then cash cows are great, because that's where you can invest in new products or services because things have changed. And you can sort of build on this with different products. So you have a nice mix of new products, question marks coming in, stars which are currently doing well, and then your cash cows which are bringing in the cash. Obviously, you need to be not carrying any dogs, because selling to laggards is very difficult, and you're in a declining market. So that's the point where you exit, or you put it to a point where it's not going to cost the business much. So then this is a segmentation, grouping your customers based on geographic, demographic, behavioral and psychographic factors, so that they've all got that group of that segment has all got the same buying requirements. And then you need to be clear, hopefully your business will have values. If you don't, then that's something you need to work on, because people buy into your values, especially the younger generation. And if your values don't resonate with them, then you're going to have a problem. And here, if we think of positioning as pallet, sort of pallet height, sell it cheap, or whether you're at the quality end, whether you're an Aldi or whether you're an M&S, where do you sit in that market? In a recession, we have a flight to quality, but given, I think we'll call it economic turbulence, I have no idea what's going to happen next. I've never been anything like this before. And then we're going to write, okay, which micro segment, which segment of that bigger segment are we going after? And I'm going to give you an example because it's easier to explain. So if we're a business selling marketing services to larger businesses, so the segment is medium-sized businesses that need to use services of a marketing agency based in the UK. Positioning is we want to work with businesses who respect quality and are prepared to pay for it. So that message needs to resonate. Any messages need to resonate with that audience. And then, so there may be, so for example, we do work with fintech and a range of other sort of companies. If we say selling a phone service, for example, you may sell to contact centers, insurance companies, medical centers, etc. Well, you may be selling the same phone system, but the priority of what they want will be different, and your message needs to be different. Your buyer persona will be different, and so that means you need to make sure you target your message resonates with those sectors. So then that's where you get specific. And we haven't got time here, but we talk about market attractiveness. It may be that you've got lots of medical background. You may be selling phones, but you really know the medical sector really well. Well, you would focus on that rather than, say, selling to a contact center where you may not have that experience, even though it's the same piece of kit that you're selling to them. So here's the actions going forwards. Again, they're in the course, the online course on the hub. And so it's basically just summarizing, asking those questions from the that we've just covered in the previous notes. So we have covered the buyer persona a number of times. So I've actually cut the slide deck quite short on this, but we'll pick up the key points. So you need to know who makes the buyer decision. And if all these companies may be buying marketing services, but because of the size of the company, who they are, what they're trying to do, then their challenges will be different for each one, and you can't sell what you'd sell to a smaller business to, say, a medium and also to a larger. So these days you have to be quite specific. You say, well, we can sell to anybody. Well, the problem is these days that probably means you're going to sell to nobody. So be specific, be the champion of whoever you are. So we sell to 5 to 50 size businesses. We've created the hub so we can handle the 1 to 5 size businesses, and hopefully help you grow to size 5, 6 or whatever. And then our agency services will be more appropriate. We don't deal with any companies above 50, just not our marketplace. And so you need to be really super clear. We do not go after large contracts, tenders, and all that sorts of stuff. So it means you have to make choices. You say, well, you could do all those things. No, you can't. You need to be really good at what you do. And I mean really, really good. One of the things that picked up a few years ago was the empathy canvas. And I kind of like this because we don't have time to cover it in any depth here, but the way the brain's set up is set up for stories, and it's set up so emotion sells. So part of the analysis is you could understand what they're feeling. And I've got an example coming up. And then we've already touched on the pain points. You've all heard of features, attributes, benefits, but that's kind of important that your features do derive benefits, but it's all about the customer. It's all about the buyer. So what are their pain points? What are the pain points you're trying to sell? So if your feature has got something that doesn't solve those pain points, it fails the so what question. So each of your features, you need to be going down and going with the buyer's persona in your head. So what? So what? So what? And does it help the person reach their overall goals? And then, because there's so much noise out there, is looking at their influences. So if we look at sort of selling to a small business owner, frustration, anxiety, things not working, time pressure, not understanding. And then, what's influencing? Well, pretty much everything. And then, what are their pain points? Not enough inquiries is generally, as a business advisor, when I was just giving out general advice, 75 to 80% of the stuff of the businesses I dealt with, it was not having enough inquiries. And of course, as an agency, it's 100% not having enough inquiries. And then not having the lack of time, one of your critical and technical creative skills. So hopefully that's why you guys are on the call today. So then I combined them because I was building the model, the app. I needed some way of going, right, okay, let's try and simplify that. And so we then created this, which sits in a tabular form on the app. So we capture their buyer persona, the sector they're in, what tasks they're trying to do, what their values are, what influences them, what's our marketing strategy, and we're going to be covering that briefly in a minute, key bits, what are their challenges, what are their pain points, and what will actually motivate them. And this is which is where Blue Ocean comes in, by the way. Fixing their pain points is not Blue Ocean. That's just being able to sit at the table and do business. What will motivate them is if you can do something special for them, if you can do something different for them. And it doesn't have to be much. We were talking with a client the other day, and he wanted to build a sort of almost a marketing machine to generate inquiries. And he'd done some fantastic work himself. And then we sat down with him and said, right, okay, I know you're in the industry he was targeting really well anyway. And we talked about sort of how we could sort of adjust what we do that would build on what he was doing, but give him that marketing machine. And I'm really pleased with the proposal put together, because it wasn't expensive, and it would work, and it's different to what the competition are offering. You can't buy what we've offered him, so that was really pleasing. We'd really, I think, hit the nail on the head there. So again, more actions. As a coach, I'm always a believer in action. If procrastination is the worst thing I see when I go into a business. And so again, in the course or on the slide deck, which will be made available in the next day or so, you'll be able to then sit down and look at those actions. Okay, value proposition. We've got to get over very succinctly the value we offer to a prospect. People's attention spans are getting less. It's harder to, in a networking environment, you've all been in those networking environments where somebody starts to give their life history, and already your brain's gone. You're out of there. So you've got to be able to capture their imagination. So we've got a few examples. I like Uber's smartest way to get around. Works great in Manchester, not very good in Shropshire where I am. But in Manchester it works really well. One tap and a car comes directly to you. You know exactly where, driver knows exactly where to go, and payment is completely cashless. It's all handled through the app. And what I like is you can see when the driver's on his way to you, so you know that within a few minutes he's there, and it gives an estimated time. So the smartest way to get around, I'd agree with that. I don't know whether you're into Apple products. I used to be a die-hard Windows guy, but then Charlie said, no, the business is going to run on Macs. I went, oh dear. So then spent a year or so getting my head around it. But I'm surrounded with my Mac Apple gear now, because it does all talk to each other. If I need to just run out, I've got the iPad there, the phone, I can do all sorts of stuff on it. And it all syncs, so if I'm sitting on the train, I might just be doing some edits on a document on the phone, come into the office, open the Mac up, and I'll carry on the Mac. Seamless, without stopping. It doesn't happen with Windows in my experience. So then we've got Slack, be more productive at work with less. Well, we use Slack in the business. I totally agree with that. It means I have eyeballs across the whole business without being involved, which as a business owner, that's really good, because stuff's happening. May not know the detail, but hey, those actions are being carried and so forth, and it's all there. There's no hidden messages, no hidden emails and things like that. I really like Slack from a business owner's point of view. So we need to think about what do your customers value? Now, if you've got customers, go and ask them, find out what they want. Why did they buy from you? Larger companies do this by surveys, but if you're dealing personally with somebody, you can say, well, what is it that you like about what we do? And if they say, well, I like this bit, but I don't like this bit, then you've got something to work on. Because it's all about how are you different from the competition. So they don't go, oh, well, I'll get 3 quotes. You go, well, you can get 3 quotes, that's great. But actually, do they also do this bit, which we know they don't, because we've done our research. So again, we've got the paid course, which I'm working on at the moment, which hopefully due out soon, which goes into a lot more detail on how to do this. but you've got three components. So it's what the customer job they're doing. What is it? So think of bookkeeping. What is it a bookkeeper does? What things does it need to do? So if we take Xero, for example, we moved from Sage to Xero because yes, it could do all the bookkeeping stuff, tick, but it could also do automatic bank reconciliation. The bank fees were a lot easier to set up. It could do the tax digital. It could do, it can do the corporation tax digital and all these sorts of things. And we keep pushing it to see how much more we can get out of it. And those are the game creators. Those are the bit that sets you apart. So the stories, we're programmed to receive information via stories. When you've got so much information out there, so much noise, you've got to resonate with your customers very quickly. And stories is the sense-making mechanism that we all use. It's our survival mechanism. So we look at brain. So the survival is the primary role of the brain. So it's constantly scanning the environment for solving problems, seeking inspiration, seeking acceptance, affection, etc. And great stories pursue an endeavor to achieve one or more of those traits. And the brain tunes out if it doesn't. So if you're talking to somebody, and it happens with very busy people, their attention spans are quite short. And I've got used to spotting when somebody's tuned out, and so I just stop, and I change direction or whatever, because what I'm saying is not resonating with them. Maybe turn into a question, if and so on. Because if you see them tune out, everything from then on is gone, and it's because the story hasn't been strong enough to get through. Just a reminder that emotion sells and logic rationalizes. So when you're selling something, you need to be able to do both. It's sometimes, if you bought something on emotion and it's called post-purchase remorse is what it's called. If the brain goes, that wasn't the best idea. So how do you do this? So this is a book recommendation. It's a great book. Again, our longer paid course covers this in a lot more detail, but it's the formula, which we're going to show you in a minute, is how you then turn that all that strategy and all that messaging and all that buyer persona stuff into a story, into something that's going to grab people's imagination. And so the structure is really simple, because the structure of a story is really simple. The customer is the lead character. He reiterates this through the book. The customer is the lead character. You are not the hero. The customer is the hero. They have a problem that needs to be overcome. And then as you as a supplier, like Yoda in Star Wars and so on, you're the expert guide. You know it all, but you're not there to solve their problem. You're help them, guide them through it so they can solve their problem using your products and services. And then agree a clear plan, quotation, project plan, maybe just a straight purchase. And then, to look at, you look at the adverts for cars these days, they talk less and less about what the car does. It's all about the lifestyle that you might project yourself onto if you own that car. Clearly, so they don't obviously, they may show failure at the start, somebody not in a great situation, and then they get the car and woo, everything's pretty and everything's wonderful and I'm living my lifestyle and all these sorts of things. So the process is you define your character, we've done the buyer persona, you understand what their pains are and their problems. They meet you, the guide, and this is where these educational, if you're doing anything educational, that's always great. We're getting more demands for explainer videos, for services, for We're just loading up one for people to do a course. So we've got an explainer video to take them through it. Gives them a plan. Be really clear on what you want your customer to do. So many websites don't have any clear journey through them. The customer goes, oh, well, that's okay. But he doesn't tell them what they want to do next. We call them CTAs, call to action. Make sure your website has got plenty of CTAs on and there's a genuine story there. One of the things that mobile usage has given us is the fact that you can scroll. So you can actually put the whole journey on the front page, so that it takes them through and recognizing the different people, so you've got your activators and pragmatists who just want to crack on. So you have a call to action on the first bit they see, and then you might have some more stuff to lead other people on, and then more calls to action through. So all the time, there's a thing in sales, and it's not about being aggressive sales. It's all about always be closing, and then they get a light bulb moment, and you see success and they see failure. So this is the template. You can do this in a spreadsheet. It's really simple. The brand StoryBrand used to have an online system, but they've taken that down now, which is a shame because you could do it online. But a spreadsheet is fine. It's not difficult. Again, copy this from the course or from the workshop video. So again, here's your next job list of jobs. You see there's plenty of things to keep you amused once you've doing this course. So elevator pitch. So if you want to get your message out quickly, we help small businesses who need a solution to growing their business by using our marketing strategy and consultancy to help them achieve a successful business. So you need to write your elevator pitch, 20 words or less, so that you can hit them quickly in a networking situation. So ours is we help growth focused entrepreneurs who need to generate more sales by using a proven processes, develop costed marketing strategies to enable them to successfully grow their companies. And in a conversation, you might shorten that, but you get the gist. It's a great way of putting your one-liners together. Again, more actions. I do recommend you buy the book. It is a good book. And so we'll have the paid course, which will take you through it step by step. So quick reminder of the customer journey. We have covered this in previous workshops. So we're all humans. So before anybody buys anything, you've got the know, like, trust, buy. And this is how it maps onto the marketing funnel. So awareness stage, people are aware they've got a problem. They're starting to find suppliers. They're starting to kick tires on things. And then hopefully at acquisition stage, they're signing up. So that's why we have the hub. It's not to sell to anybody, just so that you're in our kind of marketing mix, but you're getting great resources in exchange. And we don't heavily market to that. There's a weekly digest, which is what's happened on the hub, and that's it. And it's just about being there, ready for when you're ready to buy, because only 5% of your market, I haven't got a chance to put it in here, but only 5% of your market is ready to buy at any one time. And the rest of the time is all about keeping everybody aware of kind of what you do, but without shouting at them. And then building that engagement through conversations, through emails, through whatever your sales process is to start that conversation, to build that trust, so that when they get to when they want to go buy, that you then convert. So very skip through this. Top of funnel is what do visitors need, 75% of visitors, and then we start to lose them. 20% can I solve the problem, and then why should I buy from you? And I've just realized there's a typo on here because it should say Mofu and Bofu. So even though I've been through this loads of times, yeah, spotted that one. Okay, so what resources do you need? Number of people who say, oh, I'm doing some social media, I'm expert to get inquiries. No, social media is top of funnel. Webinars are top of the funnel. We will not make any sales from this workshop, even though there are 27 actually in there. There are about 78 who are on the email list saying they were coming, and they'll get a reminder of where the workshop was, the recording, and there's another 50 plus out on Restream. We'll have raised awareness, but we won't make any sales. So then hopefully, over time, people get into conversations, which has happened. They'll go, yeah, okay, that resonates. I think I need to do something now. So that's our 5% starting to say, yeah, I think we need to do something. And then, Zoom, web chats, etc. If you haven't got web chat on your website, please put it on. It makes a difference. Makes it easier for people to do business. It's all about reducing the friction. And then hopefully you get orders, inquiries, quotations, etc., whatever it is that you need. This is the overall process. I'm not going to go through that, but people, the funnel does. This is a reminder that the funnel looks like it's a linear journey. It's not. It's very much going around the houses, starting again, looking at things, going back again, and eventually, hopefully, coming down. And you've got to have tools and techniques. So if you're doing a monthly email newsletter, that's great. To a consented email list, that can be super helpful to keep everybody a reminder of what you're doing. Social media, regular social media does the same thing, not quite as targeted, but it's all about keeping people informed without selling to them. You're not double glazing salesmen. So marketing rule 7, it's really old. It's from the film industry of the 1920s, but it's all about having all these things running at a level you can do and at a level you can afford. So if you can't do, if you can do 1 post a week, that's great. It's all about keeping that consistency, making sure that you are putting your articles, writing an article maybe for your website, putting it up on social media. It depends on your audience, of course. But people will need to touch you at least 7 times before they will do business with you. In the model, in the app, we will be providing quite comprehensive sort of ecosystems, we call them, on how your system should look. So, and when you get hold of the app, you go, oh, that doesn't reflect what we do, then over the next few months, I'll be building a lot more. And again, they're all different. E-commerce is different to heating companies or security companies selling B2B and B2C. Different people, different prospects need different things. And then we do quite a bit of selling software as a service, which is a bit more techy. We use a system called Creately to create these. If you've only got 60 items on it, on the flowchart, it's free. It's really good, really easy to use. We pay for it, but it's buttons. It's great value. And then that'll allow you to capture all your processes. So we've come to the end. It has been a little bit of a speed speed run through, but there is the course, so you can then sit back at your leisure and do it. It's on the hub. I'll say Rachel's popped it into the chat there, or if you type in and say free to join up. There's 7 courses on there now, and we've got at least another 3 in the pipeline. Plus there'll be a paid for version of this, but it'll be a lot longer. Before we close, there's no questions that come from chat. Has anybody got any burning questions? Nope, stunned silence. It's obviously the reason why I do this is coming up for lunchtime. So you're all probably thinking, well, it's actually lunchtime now. So it was great to see you all today. Just want to just give you a quick before we finish. So very, very thanks for attending the webinar. I do hope you found it useful. Recordings and transcripts will be on the website the next day or so. And then a link will be sent out to everyone who's registered. It's also a course on the hub, so you can then take it at your leisure. Then in a month's time, I'm excited to tell you that we will be joined by Sarah Clemson and Andy Henderson, who I'm sure quite a few know. They're representing Sherpa there. And they'll be doing a workshop on how to achieve unstoppable business growth by switching your mindset and focus. And Andy and Sarah have done huge amounts of work on this. They've done quite a lot of very successful workshops with working with business owners. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they say. Again, educational. Please sign up by going to, as Rachel's put into chat, Vision to Success events. And I look forward to seeing you in a month's time. Thanks very much, guys.
Bye.
See you later. Thank you.